If anxiety is kicking your butt, you are in the right place today. This video is going to look at how online therapy is one of the best options for treating your anxiety. Just real quick to introduce myself, I'm Tia. I'm a licensed professional counselor in the state of Texas. I provide online therapy to those living in Texas and internationally, working with women who are dealing with trauma, anxiety, and life transition issues. So I'm not going to bore you with talks about online therapy and what it actually is. If you are trying to figure out what online therapy is, there is another video that I did a couple weeks ago that kind of really dives into online therapy and what the benefits of online therapy are. This video is looking more at online therapy as it relates to anxiety. So one of the first things that I look at in terms of why online therapy is so awesome for anxiety is that it doesn't require you to go out and see a therapist. So how nerve-wracking is that? I know with me, being in somebody else's environment is not very relaxing. So no matter how well decorated it may be, how well lit it may be, or how it may smell, the therapist's office just isn't your home. And so being able to be at home for those sessions or be in a place that you feel comfortable, whether it's a park or walking down the street, whatever you want, you can take therapy with you. You can find that comfortable place for you to be able to have your sessions. The second thing that comes to mind of why online therapy is really awesome for anxiety, which I kind of touched on with the first point, but not quite, is that it's mobile, which means that you can go out and explore your fears, explore the things that you're challenged by with your therapist. So for example, if you have a fear of going to eat at a restaurant alone, well, you can take your phone, plug in your headphones, and go to that restaurant with your therapist. And so as a therapist, what I would do is walk you through the process and walk you through dealing with your emotions as you go to these situations that provoke your anxiety. So if it's going out by yourself, being able to go confront a friend, I can walk you all the way up to that door. I really don't want to be there in the moment when you do it, but I can get you the confidence that you need to be able to face that situation. So mobility is really awesome for being able to expose you to situations and have the therapist be able to see you in those situations so they can provide you with feedback on how you're doing versus you just going out doing it by yourself and reporting back to them. Number 3, see, online therapy, it puts you in that comfortable place like I've already said. And what happens when people are comfortable? They get real confident, they get real open, they get real honest, and they get there real quick. If you think about the trolls on the internet and how they say all these things behind that keyboard, but if you were face to face with that person, they wouldn't say those things, right? Well, the same thing happens with online therapy, is that it's like a confidence boost and people are just real open in sessions. And when you're able to be so open because you're not sitting across from somebody, it makes the therapeutic process actually move faster for you, so you're not spending as much time in therapy, which means less money is going to be spent. So one of the things I've noticed is that a lot of my clients, they don't even go through the session or 2 or 3 of kind of building that comfort with me. I don't know if I'm just a real comfortable person to hang around, or they just feel comfortable in that environment. They're at home, they're just with their computer talking to somebody. And so we usually move real quick into whatever issues they're dealing with in terms of their anxiety, and we can tackle it a lot quicker than what I've experienced in the traditional face-to-face setting. Number 4. So Online therapy also provides you with a lot of support. And what I've noticed is that a lot of times we go to a therapist and then we may not see the therapist for another week or maybe 2 weeks, depending on their schedule or our financial situation. But majority of the online therapists that I know also allow communication with them via secure text messaging in between sessions. Now with me, if you're going through something, send me a message and I'll be glad to send you a tip, a motivational quote, some kind of task for you to do to make it through that situation. Is it going to be a full-blown therapy session? No. Am I going to go back and forth with you? No. Okay, I do have some boundaries, but I will give you something for you to be able to make it until your next session. And I think that's a huge benefit, and it also gives you that extra support that you need. Also, in terms of the support, a lot of therapists will meet with you in those evening hours at home. I know a lot of therapists that work online have later hours than, say, face-to-face therapists, because they're at home, you're at home, and everybody's okay with making an 8 o'clock or a 9 o'clock appointment. And the good thing about that is that usually you're most vulnerable in your home environment. That's when those racing thoughts come back. That's when a lot of times your anxiety starts to get the best of you and you start building up all this worry that you're going to take into the next day with you. And being able to talk to somebody when you're in that vulnerable state is really beneficial to your treatment. Last but not least is number 5. So this one is more for the therapist, but what benefits the therapist also benefits you. One of the things that I love about online therapy as it relates to anxiety is that a lot of times you'll present yourself in your best form when you go to a face-to-face session. And so your symptoms of your anxiety are not as heightened. You've probably prepared yourself for the situation. And so you're not as open and your symptoms are not as visible as they would be when you're at home. And so by going into your home environment, I can see how the anxiety plays out in your world. Things like clutter, being unorganized, piled up dishes, all those things indicate to me a sense of being overwhelmed, and it tells me how high your anxiety levels are. And so being able to see that tells me so much more than what you may say. So I love seeing people in their home environment because they're more natural and there's so much more perceptions and so much more things that you can see to be able to make a judgment. Not necessarily, no, I don't like the word judgment. I'm not going to use the word judgment. In order to make to formulate, we're going to go with formulate an opinion on what is best for them. There we go. Not a judgment. So I love online therapy for how it takes you into their natural environment. I always say it's like watching the Animal Channel and you're watching the animal, like the cheetah, crawl through the prairie searching for its prey. So you see it in its natural environment and see what it's like, versus at the zoo you don't see it in that same environment. So if you could think about the face-to-face therapy versus the online therapy, it's like the cheetah in the zoo versus the cheetah in its natural environment. And I love to see things in their natural environment because it helps me to be able to really help them. And so those are the reasons why online therapy is so awesome for anxiety. Some people may say that it enables the anxiety by making people not come out of their environment, but I think that is so much easier to deal with your anxiety when you feel comfortable, when you feel safe, and then we can work on coming out of your environment, and I can almost hold your hand through that until you're ready to do it on your own. So give online therapy a try. if you're dealing with anxiety. And so if you would like to book a session with me, you live in the state of Texas or internationally, you can always go to my website. I provide a free 15-minute consultation so you can kind of get a feel for how this interaction is.